Hey guys, welcome back to Delving into the Cold. This is Dee. I apologize for the lack of post last week. I am moving, so I spent the week taking care of our new home, trying to get things where we could just move in pretty easily. And it was also graduation week and award week for the kids here. And I had family members that were getting awards or graduating or whatever, so I was out of the house a lot this past week, but I'm supposed to be moved in, hopefully, in the next week or so hopefully I will get a better, more solid schedule out for you guys. Today we're going to be doing the urban legend that you guys voted on the website. And you guys chose, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights for the urban legend this week? This was the poll, the second poll that I put on the podcast website, Delving into the Cold. And this is what you guys voted on. I had fun researching it. So as always, we're going to talk about what the legend itself is, where it originated, and I'm even going to throw in some cases in real life that were similar to the urban legend. And then, as always, I will give you my opinion on whether I think that it's valid or not. So let's just get started. This is also known as the roommate's death legend. And, you know, the legend states that one roommate, they're typically females, as usual, goes out to a party, and her roommate, stays in and studies. You know, she's got tests the next day. She wants to be well rested, so she stays in. Well, when the roommate that went out to the party gets back to the dorm or the apartment, whatever, it's super late, and she doesn't want to wake her roommate up. So she just leaves the lights off, she crawls into bed, she goes to sleep. And when she wakes up the next morning, she finds that her roommate has pretty much been slaughtered. And the words, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" are scrawled in blood on the wall. And there's typically a part that states that when the roommate returned late that night, she heard some type of noise but didn't think anything about it and just went to sleep. And so, you know, there's immense guilt on her part that she didn't turn on the lights because the guy was in the room killing her roommate. And if you've seen the movie Urban Legend, this is one of the legends on there. And it's pretty popular in pop culture these days. But it apparently originated about 50 years ago. But in 1981, it was published in W.W. Norton's book, Vanishing Hitchhiker. It was written about by Norton in this book collection of urban legends. And so that kind of even further popularized the legend. Now, as we all know, urban legends are usually told to teach a lesson. And it's typically to teenagers or young people that they should be moral, upstanding, God-fearing citizens. Well, this one is kind of like teaching these young people that are out in the world for the first time by themselves to be careful, because it could happen to them too. It's trying to teach them that they're not invincible, and that whole "it could never happen to me" thing is a fallacy. Now, I couldn't find any police investigations that directly involved a case like this, but I found some similar. The Manson killings, if you'll remember, they wrote on the walls in blood and various things. And it wasn't, you know, the quote, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights? But it was, you know, just various ramblings and things. And the lipstick murderer left words on the wall as well. And of course, in regards to people being in close proximity to the scene of the crime during the crime, H.H. Holmes killed people in his busy hotel, and it was always packed. There were always people like within earshot, and so yeah, those are the only ones that I could find that were even similar to this case. And while I believe that this legend is definitely possible, and especially the further we get along and the more that this is in pop culture, it becomes more possible because people like to emulate that. I couldn't find proof that it actually happened, so I'm gonna say it's plausible. It's definitely possible that it can happen, but it hasn't been reported. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. That's what I've got. While everybody knows this legend, there's not a lot known about this legend, if that makes sense. So let me know what you think. And have you ever, heard this story in relation to someone close to you or something like that? Let me know. As always, the links will be under the podcast and under the video. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.